Cedar Point has a giga coaster, a strata coaster, a dive coaster, a hyper, a wing, a floorless, and now a tilt coaster. It has almost every record-breaking ride type ever invented, which makes the next question the fun one. What's actually missing? Because there are three glaring holes in this lineup. Three specific ride types from three specific manufacturers, and filling any one of them would be Cedar Point's next big headliner. So let's rank them, spec them out, and figure out exactly where on this peninsula they'd go. Here's the thing most videos get wrong. Cedar Point doesn't need another giga. Millennium Force already owns that. It doesn't need another strata. Top Thrill 2 launches to 420 feet. It's got the tallest tricks covered. So the smart money isn't on taller. It's on filling a category this park has somehow never built. And when you line up all 18 coasters by type, one gap jumps out immediately. Cedar Point has 4 coasters built by Bolliger and Mabillard, the legendary Swiss firm. Raptor an inverted, Gatekeeper a wing, Rougarou a floorless, Valravn a dive. 4 different B and M layouts, and not a single flying coaster. A flyer locks you in face down and flies you parallel to the ground, chest first, like Superman. It's the one marquee B and M model this park has never had, and enthusiasts have been begging for it for 2 decades. A modern flyer, whether it's a B and M, or Vekoma's newer launched F.L.Y model, would stand around 140 to 170 feet and hit roughly 60 miles an hour. For reference, the gold standard flyers are B and M's Manta and Tatsu, and Vekoma's F.L.Y at Fantasyland, the world's first launched flying coaster. And this is the key part. It would look unbelievable flying out over Cedar Point's central lagoons. This is the #1 pick, and it's not close. And there's an obvious plot for it. Right now, that central lagoon area is home to Iron Dragon, a suspended coaster from 1987 that's nearly 40 years old and barely clears the water. It sits on prime, central real estate, with water on multiple sides. Swap an aging suspended coaster for a modern flyer soaring inches over those same lagoons, and you've got the most photogenic coaster in the park. If Cedar Point builds a flyer, this is where it lands. Gap #2 isn't about a ride type, it's about a name. Look at who builds Cedar Point's coasters. Arrow, Intamin, B and M, RMC, Vekoma, Zamperla. One giant is missing entirely, Mack Rides. Mack is the German company behind the most talked-about coasters on Earth right now. Multi-launch machines that fire you forward and backward through a compact, twisted layout, instead of relying on one giant hill. Just look at what Mack is building. Voltron Nevra at Europa Park and DC Rivals in Australia, 2 of the highest-rated new coasters in the entire world. Think 5, 6, 7 launches, a few inversions and speeds around 65 miles an hour, all packed into a footprint smaller than a giga. For a park running out of open land, that compactness is the whole point. A MACK Multi-LAUNCH would give Cedar Point a completely different flavor of thrill, and its first ride from the hottest manufacturer in the industry. Its ideal home, the front of the park. Corkscrew opened in 1976. It's one of the oldest coasters here, sitting right at the entrance, the first thing you see walking in. A compact, modern Mack launcher could slot into that same footprint and completely rebuild Cedar Point's first impression, launching riders right over the midway. Out with a 50-year-old looper, In with the future. Gap number 3 is a technicality that enthusiasts obsess over. Cedar Point has an RMC, Steel Vengeance, one of the best coasters on the planet. But Steel Vengeance is an RMC hybrid. What the park doesn't have is RMC's other invention, the single rail. RMC's single rails, like Wonder Woman Flight of Courage and Jersey Devil, are the tallest, fastest, and longest of their kind, and they are brutally intense. On a single rail coaster, the train straddles one narrow beam of track, making everything feel impossibly thin, twisted, and out of control. They run around 130 to 150 feet tall, but they feel far more extreme than that number suggests, and they need barely any land. It's the perfect way to cram a violent, world-class coaster into a tight corner of an already packed park. Now a few honorable mentions. Type Cedar Point is also missing, but that are less likely. A modern spinning coaster where the cars rotate freely as you ride. A water coaster mixing drops with splashdowns. Even a launched wing coaster. Any of these would round out the collection, but none of them fill a hole as glaring as the missing flyer. Which brings us to the land problem, tying all of this together. Cedar Point is a 364-acre peninsula. There's water on nearly every side, so new rides don't get built on empty grass. Something goes first. And the candidates are obvious. The Aging Arrow rides, Iron Dragon over the lagoons, Corkscrew at the gate, the 1969 Mine ride, Gemini from 1978. None are confirmed for removal, but in a company now laser-focused on efficiency, low-capacity antiques are exactly what gets replaced. Every one of them is a plot waiting for a headliner. So when does it happen? Be realistic. Cedar Point just built 3 coasters in 3 years, capped by Siren's Curse in 2025. Right after a blitz like that, and with parent company Six Flags spending its 2026 budget largely on other parks, Cedar Point is due for a short breather. The pattern points to a headliner announced for the 2027 or 2028 season. Enough time to tear out an aging ride and build something big. And here's the tell. Cedar Point almost always announces its big rides in late August or early September, right as the summer crowds start to thin. My bet, the announcement drops in the fall for a ride 2 summers out. So here's my ranking. Number 1, and the most likely, a flying coaster over the Iron Dragon lagoons. It fills the biggest B and M-shaped hole in the lineup. Number 2, a compact MACK Multi-LAUNCH, replacing Corkscrew at the front gate. Number 3, the wild card, an RMC Single-Rail crammed into an aging corner. Cedar Point has almost every record. What it's missing is these 3. So tell me, flying, Mack, or Single-Rail, which one do you want and which old ride are you willing to sacrifice for it? Drop it below and I'll see you in the next one.